Welcome to TAPintoTV. I'm Stephanie Willoughby, coming to you from East Main Media Studios in Little Falls, New Jersey. On this week's show, we take a look back at some of the best segments from our original series, HomeGrown. I'll take you on a virtual tour of 4 New Jersey destinations, including Hoboken, Ridgewood, and Asbury Park. But first, let's get started with a trip to the charming town of Clinton, New Jersey. My name is Stephanie Willoughby, and I'm a family photographer here in the great state of New Jersey. Jersey is full of small towns with big personalities, which is why I want to explore what makes your community special. I'm interested in the stories that your community would tell if it had a voice. This is HomeGrown. Vintage homes, a perfect red mill, and a downtown that could rival any Norman Rockwell painting. Clinton is New Jersey's best kept secret. A day trip could easily turn into a business venture, a new home, or just a place where your heart feels the most at home. Welcome to HomeGrown, Clinton, New Jersey. Seated on the banks of the Raritan River, this historic village dates back to the early 1800s, where its settlers built farm homes along the rural and rustic land. Thought of more as an exurb of New York City than a suburb of New York City, Clinton is a tiny village with a rich history. The first thing you'll notice about Clinton, besides its obvious historic beauty, are these tiny signs planted all over Main Street that read, "Grow love, and love grows." I can interpret this slogan a million different ways, always coming back to the golden rule. First things first, if I'm gonna be touring Clinton, New Jersey all day long, then I'm gonna need some fuel. And honestly, there's no better place than Riverside Coffee and Tea. If the aroma doesn't bring you in, then the view certainly will.
I grew up in the Northeast in Connecticut, was lucky enough to get to work in and out of Manhattan and spend some time overseas. I met my lovely wife in Thailand when I was studying culinary arts. And then we returned to the States. We worked in and out of Manhattan for a while and then found an opportunity to come out here to Clinton, New Jersey, have a bit of a quieter life and found a nice place alongside the river where we could operate a little cafe. We're very happy we did. It's a wonderful community to be a part of. Because of the activities the town is always doing, there's always tourists, and we're always pleased to get to meet somebody who says, I just found you guys, did a quick search for coffee shops, you came up. I would say, 20% or so of our customers every day are new or tourists from all around the world. It's a real pleasure getting to meet everybody.
The first time I visited Clinton, New Jersey, it was for the Ham It Up Festival at the Hunterdon Art Museum. It invites parents and kids to discover local artists, mingle with a jazz band, and create some one-of-a-kind art pieces. How did you guys come about choosing the artist and actually going with this theme? How do you choose your themes here at the Art Museum?
Well, we have an exhibitions committee, and we are always looking at trends in contemporary art.
So I know that you are the executive director here. Do you have more locals that are coming to the art museum, or is it, visitors? And can you talk a little bit about the people that you see here at the museum?
Sure. People from all over the state, from New York, Pennsylvania, they come to see our shows. We look at art as something that really doesn't have geographic boundaries.
Mm-hmm. What is it about this museum that resonates with people and brings them back time and again?
Well, it is a very special place in an 1836 grist mill. So the building itself is very unique and people fall in love with the building. Mm-hmm. And it's just a lovely place to show art because it's particularly contemporary art, because we're juxtaposing the contemporary art with the 1836 building, which is on the National Historic Register. So it's really a very special place.
So yes, a diner in New Jersey is a must, but what if you're looking for an alternative? Something that combines big city ideas with a small yet progressive farm town. Then you're looking for Grounded for Life Cafe, a plant-based cafe owned and operated by Tara Stone Kramer. Grounded for Life is actually truly inspirational and really just not what I was expecting when I came here to Clinton. So why don't you tell us about Grounded for Life and what your cafe serves and what separates you from other cafes in town?
We were born from just a basic personal need, and a 4-year-old at the time who was eating plant-based along with us and just realized we were going to the same places over and over. And they were great, but you can only eat the same sandwich so many times.
One of the first things that I noticed when we came over the historic bridge, besides, of course, the beauty of the town and the red mill, is there's these little signs around town that say grow love and love grows. What does that mean to you?
Grow love to me just means that we need to continually be planting the seeds of being kind to each other, being purposeful, bringing passion to what we're doing, whether we're coming down as a patron or we're here as a business owner. Smiling, you can walk around town and say hello to the person that passed you, and they don't look at you with 10 heads like, oh, do I know you?
Right. You're like, yes, you do. Before coming to Clinton, I assumed it was a quiet farm village with beautiful historic homes. I could never have imagined the rich sense of community or the way that the locals support one another. Clinton, New Jersey literally smells like coffee and toast and feels like a warm hug. If you find yourself here, get lost in its beauty and say hello to our new friends. They are self-made and homegrown.
To watch more Tap Into TV videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel at TAPintoTV.
Today we're exploring Hoboken. We're getting to know Hoboken as the city she is today. Still fun, still steps from the city, still buzzing with that signature busy energy, but Hoboken's grown up, and so are the people that call Hoboken home. With loads of families, Hoboken is the perfect mix of family-friendly by day and local craft brewery by night. Today we're gonna get to know some of the folks that set the vibe in this larger-than-life town, and I can't wait to get started. This is Homegrown Hoboken.
I'm Meghan Lukin. I'm a Hoboken resident, Hoboken mom, and a Hoboken store owner.
So we're in Washington General Store. I love your store. I love everything in it. It's really tempting to just touch everything. Do you have people in here constantly just touching the items?
Yeah, but I think, that's the really important part of still shopping local is that you can't get that online. So, you're finding the product, you're picking up, you're smelling it. It makes it really tangible.
It's one of the things I love the most about shopping small and supporting small businesses is that we also see you here, right? And we get to know you. And then I think there's like this emotional connection between, I'm sure, yourself and then customers that come in. Can you tell us a little bit about the people that are shopping here at Washington General?
Yeah, they're the Hoboken resident. We run the gamut from really the student who just graduated, the student that goes to Stevens, maybe their parents are visiting. We've got young families that are moving into town. Maybe they needed a little more space from Manhattan. And then we've had people that have been here their entire lives. So we have a really great mix of people in this community.
How has it been for you as not just a business owner, but also a resident? How would you describe Hoboken to someone who hasn't visited here?
It's a very unique community, very much rich in history. Our waterfront is unrivaled for sure. But, it's so interesting. We have a really old history of people who have lived here for their entire lives and have been generations of family members who have lived here. So you'll see old shops that have been here forever. And then you have the complete other side of it where it's new families moving in. So it's kind of this combination that is really nicely married together in what feels like a small town, but is actually a very urban lifestyle.
Meghan, thank you so much for having us in your store today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure having you. Thanks for visiting.
I could just live in here. That amazing archway and tables full of unique gifts, it makes my creative heart so happy. Do you find that you have lots of people from the neighborhood, people that are just visiting? Who's your ideal customer here?
It's mostly local and it's mostly foot traffic.
So you guys probably see lots of the little kiddos growing up as they're coming in here, first in a stroller, then maybe walking. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
There's so much changing in the world, especially in the world with our little ones that they're growing up in. There's more like iPads and all the sorts of different technologies. Can you talk to us a little bit about the experience, particularly for kids and their parents that are coming into the bookstore? What kind of benefits do you think there are for being in an actual bookstore?
Well, that's what people come for. So they're coming with the expectation that they're going to spend time, they're going to be able to look through books and read, and it's very much a place where you hang out. It's not like just get it and run out, you know.
We have a story time every Fridays where we have a wonderful storyteller and reader, Laura. We have picture book authors come often on Sundays to read from their books.
What do you feel like the vibe of Hoboken is? You see people coming in and out of your doors every day and hanging out, like you said, in the bookstore. What do you feel like the energy around Hoboken is?
It feels like it's moving maybe somewhat away from the singles bar culture that it's well known for, and more into a families and a maybe more sophisticated cultural place.
I'm Pamela Kalmus. I am the owner of PKL Properties, and I live and work here in Hoboken out of the Keller Williams office. I'm a young mom, new mom. My family and I live on 15th and Washington Street here.
So what's kind of neat about what you do is that you also live in the same area that you're working within, which is why I feel like you've got so much knowledge to share with us.
Sure.
So I kind of want to, I guess, hit the pavement running, and just talk to you a little bit about what does it cost to live in Hoboken? You know, like we've seen a lot. It's obviously quite developed. It's changed a lot over the years. But if I were looking at like a condo versus a brownstone, can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Sure. So the price points in Hoboken, I would say there's a large range. We have a lot of different type of properties in Hoboken, and the range would probably go from about $400,000 to like $2 million. Okay. And the average price point in Hoboken right now is $750,000. And for a brownstone, you're looking at an average of about 1.5 to 2.5. So on that higher end, and that's depending on if it's renovated and whether it's a 1-family or a 2-family. So if you're living there and then renting out a condo below you to a tenant, you can take in, rental income. So there's a lot of different options in Hoboken, which makes it such a great place to look to buy property.
You seem to understand the culture because you're also a part of the culture of Hoboken. If you had to describe Hoboken in maybe 5 different words or phrases, how would you describe Hoboken for somebody who hasn't been here before?
Okay, so the first I would say is urban suburban. I'd also describe it as old and new, which we kind of touched upon, and that goes from the types of properties we have. We have some old character next to new condos, which is really cool. Views, there's so many people that are getting fantastic views. And if you're not from your home, you can always walk right down to the waterfront. Community, we've got a great community here. There's people that really care about the safety and the cleanliness and the togetherness. And lastly, I would say Washington Street. It's really iconic.
Pam, thank you so much for having us today.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
This is the way I remembered Hoboken when I lived here in my 20s, except with a few more little ones and a whole lot more social media. Oh, Hoboken, you are one fun city. Bookstores and specialty shops, bands and bars, museums and cupcakes. Hoboken has a little something for everyone, and it's almost in its own renaissance of sorts. The vibe of this town is found in its mix of history, coupled with some small businesses who are reshaping the way we see and play in Hoboken. It's my hope that Hoboken can hold on to that balance that makes it so special.
Author and historian C. Northcote Parkinson, he theorized that our demand for a resource increases to meet the supply of it. For example, when we're given 2 weeks to do a project, it takes 2 weeks. But if we're given 8 weeks to do the same project, it would take 8 weeks. Another example is that when given $1,000 to complete your work, you get it done for $1,000. But if you're given $100,000 to complete the same work, it magically takes $100,000. So profit first makes Parkinsons Law an asset. And by taking profits first, the money available for expenses lessens. And we're forced to get the same things done for less money.
To learn more about Tap Into TV, visit tapintotv.net.
When I started researching Ridgewood, I found myself on the Ridgewood Guild page, an excellent resource for this town boasting over 25,000 residents. Tony Damiano is the owner of the popular Mango Jam gift shop. He also happens to be president of the Ridgewood Guild, a shop owner, and a music buff. Seems like someone homegrown should get to know better. We are here in Mango Jam. This is a great gift shop here in Ridgewood. How long have you been in business here?
We're going on 20 years. It's hard to believe.
Oh my goodness. How have you seen Ridgewood change in the time that you've been in business here?
Well, it's, the fabric of the downtown has remained the same. We have a great selection of retail stores, and now we do have more restaurants, just about every variety of restaurant imaginable, and people just flock to them, especially on the weekends.
Yeah, this is a busy city. I mean, it's like no shortage of residents and visitors.
Yes.
Are you a resident of Ridgewood?
I'm a resident, yes.
You are. And how long have you lived here?
We've been here 10 years.
What do you think, it is about Ridgewood that attracts people to be here?
Well, it's definitely the community and the organizations. There's always so much going on in town, and people just love what we do at the Guild, what the Chamber of Commerce does, and it's just a vibrant community.
We have had the pleasure of meeting when I was at the music festival.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about your role in the Ridgewood Guild.
Sure.
Tell me how that got started and what you do with them.
We really got hit hard with the recession about 10 years ago. There were over 40 vacancies in town. I thought, oh my gosh, we have to do something about this to make the town more vibrant. So I conceptualized the Guild, hoping to get 50 people to join. And by the end of that year, we had 150 businesses, and now we're over 300. Our first program was called Music in the Night, which is a wonderful program. On Friday evenings between Memorial Day and Labor Day, we have musicians playing all throughout town. And we usually position them in front of our restaurants, and it just changes the whole vibe of the town. Movies in the Park is another great program. We have 6 free movies in Van Ness Park, and that's a wonderful event.
If you had to describe Ridgewood in, I don't know, a couple of different words, what kind of words would come to mind?
Oh, historic, romantic. It's a creative town, and at the Guild, we actually focus a lot on the arts, and that kind of just morphed. It's just the community. The people really make up the fabric of Ridgewood.
So I know your downtown pretty well, and I've gotten to know it a lot better through HomeGrown. I just want to thank you so much for your time with us today.
We're thrilled that you're here, Stephanie.
I grew up with a community theater in my town. I spent so much of my youth in play rehearsals with my theater friends. When I heard about Porchlight Productions, I knew that we had to come here and learn more about their theater program and find out how they're contributing to the arts culture in town.
Pifher. I'm the co-owner of Porchlight Productions, and my wife is the other owner. And we started this in roughly 2005, and essentially we are a performing arts space. So we do classes and performance programs for students in kindergarten all the way through college.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
How did you end up here doing this in this space?
I started out as an actor, and that's what I went to school for. I went to AMDA, and from there, I worked a variety of productions in New York. I did some TV and film, and I lived in LA for a while, and then I came back to this area, and I ended up working at a local school just as a teacher's aide. I came back from a tour, and I was like, hey, this sounds like a nice thing. And from there, I started a program for the kids there. And then they were interested in what I was, teaching them. And they said, is there anything else we can do? And I said, yeah, sure. So then we grew from there, and we did acting classes, and we did other full performance programs. And then eventually we got big enough that we decided to find a space of our own. And this location was actually right around the corner from the school in Ridgewood that I started at. And we have a black box theater. And since it is a black box theater, every seat is a good seat.
One of the things that my experience being in community theater taught me as like a kid is that you can create any world that you want. And to me, that's really magical. So even though days can be really stressful and crazy, I feel like with creative fields, a lot of times you get to see something change in front of you. I think what you are able to give to them is like a little bit of that they can kind of spark as they go along. And I think that's super important. I'm glad you guys are here in town doing your thing. And I'm glad that the town supports that as well.
To watch more Tap Into TV, follow us on social media at TAPintoTV.
Today we're visiting my favorite shore point, Asbury Park, New Jersey. If you haven't been here, you must come here. Asbury is famous for their boardwalk, their nightlife, and their proud LGBTQ community. As the saying goes, everything is better in Asbury. It's very hard for me to describe purple glazed donuts. You simply have to taste them. I don't know how to make a donut, but whatever it is that they do should be the standard for all donuts everywhere in the world. The end.
I'm Jackie Sharpe. I own Purple Glazed Donuts on 516 Summerfield Ave in Asbury Park. We've been here for 4 years.
I really deeply love your donuts.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, it really is. And when I knew we were going to do Asbury, you guys were the first call that I wanted to make because I want it to be here so badly, and I want everyone to know how amazing and great your donuts are. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started? Because it's not the most conventional job, maybe, to own a donut place. So what drew you to it?
I retired and moved down here with my husband, and I had always wanted to go to pastry school in my 20s, and I never actually got there, so I took the time and I went to pastry school at Brookdale Community College. They had a program which was like 2 blocks from my house. Did a year of pastry school, and then in parallel life, my son Wesley was up on the boardwalk at Langosta Lounge. He was baking, and he kept saying, let's open a donut shop. Donuts are going to be the new cupcake. It's the new thing. And I said, look, let me go to work at Wegmans for a year in the bakery. So I did Wegmans for a year, and just about the end of the year, friends of ours who own Langosta told us about the space that was available, and it was small enough. My husband, he's the business sense. He figured out the money, and he said, okay, this is how much we could afford to lose if we never sell a donut. And literally, that's how we got started, so.
I love that you're so involved in the community, that there is this local aspect to it, because it seems like with Asbury, the businesses that we've spoken to, everyone sort of seems to have each other's back, right? Like
we do.
Yeah, and it feels like business that gets brought in here, eventually they find themselves at Cure, or they find themselves at Showroom.
Exactly.
Theater. So it's kind of neat the way that you guys have all been able to kind of keep it small, even though it's growing quite a bit.
Absolutely, yeah, we have each other's backs, and it works out well.
What is it like working with your son?
Like my son always says, we've been together, 4 years. None of us have killed each other yet. In the beginning, I got to tell you, he used to take the brunt of everything because I had, these people working for me, and if somebody made a mistake, I kind of was always on him because I didn't want to be the mean boss. But now I've learned a little bit better how to manage and things like that, and it's okay. It's good.
I would say Purple Glaze is one of those must-dos when you're in Asbury. And I so appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us.
Oh, thanks for coming.
But now we get to taste donuts.
Absolutely.
That's the best part. I'm all here for a mother and son team who add to the overall happiness of the locals and visitors of Asbury Park. I'm also fully here for these donuts. Seriously, my kids and I have been known to drive to Asbury just for these donuts. I'm not kidding. want to talk a little bit about Showroom. How long have you guys been open here in Asbury Park?
We've been open in this location since 2012. We started out in a little storefront across the street because when we came here, there were no movie theaters. We couldn't understand how a town that was so arts and culture centric had no cinema.
So how have you guys found Asbury as a community? Has it been welcoming to open the theater here? Has it been difficult? Like, how has it gone?
We were fortunate when we started in 2009. The city was open to new ideas. We were in the downtown or the central business district, which had theaters as one of the approved places to be. So we kind of were entreed in very nicely, and the town had been very good to us. I mean, people did come out, and there was now something to do other than eating and drinking in the downtown area, which we had always thought there should be. It's good to be part of the community. You have a vested interest in making things work, and all the other business owners in town are very participatory. Everybody works very hard. They partner with each other to make things a success. So it's been a real close-knit community.
My name is Russell Lewis, and I'm the owner and creator of Watermark, which you're sitting in.
This is a really cool place.
Oh, thank you.
It's really amazing.
Thank you.
How long have you guys been open here?
I just celebrated my 10th anniversary last November, so this is my 11th summer being open for business.
That's nuts.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Did you think, like, when you started well, you have an amazing space.
Thank you.
It's really cool. How did this all get started?
Well, I'll see if I can give you the condensed version of
Okay.
that. I bought a falling down Victorian home here, my husband and I, in 2004. And living full-time in New York. We spent 1.5 years renovating, and I wanted a reason to live at my beach house year-round. And I couldn't find a good drink in town, which is the truth. Okay. So I put 2 and 2 together. I did see a hole in the market here. And I thought, oh, you know, anyone who opens up a half-decent cocktail lounge here is going to do really well. So light bulb went off, and I started pursuing that.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the town of Asbury. Being that you're a resident here, being that you've seen it sort of change over the years, what are some ways you could describe Asbury for people who haven't been here before?
One of the things that I think people don't quite realize or understand about Asbury Park is that we're actually a city. Even though we're 1.4 square mile, we actually are a city. So when you step back and look at how it was designed and structured and built, that was the thing that got me really first interested in Asbury, was sort of all these, just the way the town was laid out and designed. And it was always designed with the intention of entertaining people. I think it's one of the things that I am and a couple of other community leaders are trying to preserve now and trying to protect.
Yeah. I want to thank you for having us and chatting with us and touching on all things Asbury. You're a good person to know here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
And you know where you can get a good mojito anytime.
Signature cocktails and a sunset you can't beat. If you decide to have your next event here, will you please invite me? I'd love to come. Every Jersey girl has her favorite shore point, and I am lucky enough to call Asbury Park mine. Beautiful and colorful and artistic and musical, you can't beat the arts, the food, and the people of Asbury Park. Until next time, I'm Stephanie Willoughby, and this is HomeGrown.
To watch more Tap Into TV videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel at TAPintoTV.
Tune in next week for another episode of Tap Into TV. Don't forget to follow us on social media, and you can watch any of our video segments anytime at TAPintoTV.net. Thanks for watching, and please stay safe and healthy.